I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious. And if you don't hit that subscribe button right now, the Raiders, they're going to finish in last place in the AFC West. And here's the thing. I know that we get picked to finish in last every single year, and yet doesn't happen. We're going to have another solid year. I hope that we can make the playoffs. And coming up here on today's show, I'm going to be going through every single Raiders game this upcoming season. I'm going to tell you whether or not the Silver and Black are going to win, lose, maybe tie, and I'm going to give you the score predictions for each one of those games. If you don't already know, Chugs and I, we go live for every single Raiders game this season, so if you want to hang out with 100,000 Raider fans every week for game time, guess what? Hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. So this is going to be my final Raiders record prediction. I did a video like this probably about 3 months ago, and I'll admit, when I did that video 3 months ago, I also did it with the mindset of Gardner Minshew was going to be the Raiders starting quarterback. So for a lot of the OGs that watch this show in May, it's probably not going to be all that much different. Though, there's a few games that I did switch around here a little bit. But this is where the Raiders season to me is a big turning point. You got to be at worst 4-5 during the Raiders bye week, or else you could see this team potentially start selling off some players. Week 13, Black Friday game, monster. And then you finish it off here with Jags, Saints, and Chargers. To me, if the Raiders have any chance of making the playoffs this season, you got to win these 3 games right here. You got to win those final 3 games. Extremely, extremely important. So here's your opportunity to go down. Look into those crystal balls of yours. I know Taino Raider just said, Mitch, skip the line. Guess what, Taino? I'm going to skip the line, and I want you guys to skip the line. Go down in the comments right now. Predict the Raiders' record this season. I have been saying all offseason 9-8. Is that going to come true on this video? You guys are about to find out here. So here we go. Week 1 against the Chargers. I should actually also say this. I did a Madden simulation for every single one of these games during the offseason. So if you want to check out a Madden sim, if you look up Raiders versus Chargers, Raiders versus Ravens, Raiders versus Panthers, so on and so forth, you're going to be able to see a full Madden simulation of all those games. Week 1 at SoFi Stadium. Give me the Silver and Black. I got 24-21. I do think this is going to be a lot closer of a football game than some people out there think. Cass Joey said that this is going to be a blowout. We got to win in SoFi. We got to win in Los Angeles. Hell, we haven't won in Los Angeles since 2020. So this is a big game for Antonio Pierce. It's also a big game for the Chargers and Jim Harbaugh, but I believe in the Raiders, and I believe that we're just the better team overall. Let's go to week 2. Another tough game on the road in Baltimore. One of the reasons why I said that Gardner Minshew was the right choice to be the Raiders starting quarterback is because I believe in Minshew's ability to go on the road and succeed more than I do Aidan. On top of that, with some of the Raiders' offensive line concerns, I think it just made more sense. Here's the real thing, though. Against the Ravens on the road, it's one of the best teams in the NFL. I have the Silver and Black losing this one 27-20. This is going to be a game that you're going to learn a lot about the Raiders, where the Chargers are one thing. How we play against the Ravens, how we match up, I think this is a good benchmark to see how good this team truly, truly is. Let's go to week 3, the home opener at Allegiant Stadium. And if anybody was at Allegiant Stadium over the weekend, I'll tell you what, that LSU-USC atmosphere, based on what I heard, was unbelievable. We got to bring that type of atmosphere every single week at Allegiant Stadium. You got Bryce Young, got a brand new offensive line, and I know that the Panthers struggled last season. I do think that they're going to be a better football team this season, but they're not going to be good enough to beat the Raiders in week 3. Give me them 23-17 in another game that's going to be close. Like, there's not going to be many games this season where the Raiders get blown out or the Raiders do the blowing out. Giggity. Why? Because of the defense, and I really do believe in that. I got a full-on LOL from Chugs, but it doesn't happen often. Week 4 against the Cleveland Browns. I want to know how healthy Deshaun Watson is at this point, because this is a QB for whatever reason. I feel like he's always dealing with a shoulder injury. Is Nick Chubb going to be playing in this game? This is a really good defensive line. Max Crosby up against Myles Garrett. Like, legitimately, this is going to be the 2 best players, I think, on defense in the NFL. Chubb's out until week 5, right? He's out until week 5. Yep, okay, that's on me. Anyway, I'm going to go for this matchup here. Another low-scoring game for the Raiders, but I'm going to have the Browns just barely beating us in this one, 24-20. If the Raiders can get a lead against a team like Cleveland, right, and they can make them very one-dimensional, that's what you're going to need to do, and the Raiders need to do that for majority of their games this upcoming season. So right now, as it stands, we are 2-2 going into week 5 up against the Broncos. Before I give you who I think is going to win that game, we're going to beat the Broncos. I got to tell you about our sponsor, Game Time. Last minute tickets, the lowest price guaranteed. Football, it's so freaking back, baby. And Game Time is the perfect app for Raider Nation and all NFL fans. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. That last minute ticket's the lowest price guaranteed. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. So for me, I wanted to be able to show you guys some of the tickets that I was literally just looking at on Game Time, and I told Chugs, I go, dude, do you see these awesome deals that are happening right now? So I have my, first off, the city set to Los Angeles. So whatever city like you're planning on going to, like Los Angeles, Chugs and I are going to be going to North Carolina. That's really important to do. But when you go to Game Time and then you start looking at the prices of like these tickets, right? Because I want you to look at the deals that are going on with the Game Time picks, the super deals especially, which you guys can kind of see from top to bottom. So when I go to Raiders versus Chargers, and I have a screenshot of it, Chugs, which you guys can see on the left, is like the Stadium Bowl, and then underneath that picture you can see for $260, that's the super deal. Also now, like I'm on the app right now, they have a brand new super deal that is in the top 1 percentile, $451 for C127 row 13. I love it because you can see all of like the deals. You can also see like where you're going to be sitting. And once you click into the deal, you can kind of get an even closer look at it. So one of the things I love is the all-in pricing. You can see it says $260 including fees, which again, I like being able to use Game Time because I can just see exactly what I'm going to get as soon as I hit to the checkout line, because what I don't want is thinking I'm going to pay $130, and then I go to the checkout line after fees, taxes, all that other BS, and it's $200. That's not going to happen with Game Time. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CHATSPORTS, that's CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Let's go to week 5 up against the Denver Broncos in Mile High. The last time that the Broncos beat the Raiders, I'm going to keep saying it, December 29th, 2019. Tell me what you were doing during that time. The Broncos have never beaten the Las Vegas Raiders, and that's not going to change this season. Give me the Raiders 23-13. I can't wait to see all this Bo Nix hype really get silenced quickly during this season. I think the Broncos are arguably the worst football team in the NFL this season. I'm not afraid to say it. I do. I think they are one of the worst teams in the NFL this season. The Raiders are going to win. This would be 9 straight games against the Donkeys. Let's go to week 6 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. This game, I kind of get like a little bit of bad deja vu. Chugs and I were in Vegas last season when the Raiders played the Steelers, Sunday Night Football in Allegiant Stadium. And I really want to be able to sit up here and say that this is going to be a revenge game, but this is going to be another really hard-fought football game. And I don't want to say that it's like a letdown game, but coming off a AFC West divisional game, then you go up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I do have the Steelers winning this one 17-14, but this is another pride game for the Raiders in terms of Steelers fans travel very, very well. I might even say that there were more Steelers fans at the Raiders game last season. We got to make sure that that is not the case for this season. Let's go to week 7 on the road against the Rams. I do think that this is another road game for the Raiders where I anticipate the silver and black to have more fans at this Rams game than the Rams actually do. And because of that, for a lot of people that watched my old video that I did about my Raiders record prediction, I had the Rams originally winning. Well, guess what? I'm going to go with the Raiders to win this game 23-21 in another close game. I do think that the Rams could be a sneaky pick to actually win the NFC West with all the extra BS drama going on around the San Francisco 49ers. But because this is such a big game in Los Angeles and the Raiders know, like, you got to win this game before you go up against Kansas City, I think it just means a little bit more. For that reason, we're 4-3 entering Week 8 against Kansas City. Now, when you play at home, that's usually an advantage. Though when the Raiders have played the Chiefs this season and they've been at home, not this season, since moving to Vegas, it hasn't been an advantage. The Raiders have actually played better in Arrowhead since going to Vegas, and because of that reason, I'm just going to say that the Raiders are going to lose this game 31-21. The Chiefs are the best team in the NFL, right? If you lose to the Ravens and you lose to the Chiefs, again, it's a little bit of a benchmark to at least see where you're at. But Patrick Mahomes is the best on the planet, and I'm hoping that we can slow them down. But if you let the Chiefs put up 31, you're not winning that game. The only way you're beating the Chiefs this season, as far as I'm concerned, if you're the Raiders, is if you hold them to under 21 points. Hold them under the 3 touchdowns. So we are 4-4 after week 8. I got to know, are you going to a Raiders game this season? I had a Raider fan when we were doing our show live on Tuesday. Gilbert Moreno said, I just got my ticket to the game last night. If you are going to the game, let me know down below which games you're going to. Like Chugs and I, we're going to be out in North Carolina this weekend for a Raiders event. But there's also going to be times where I hope that I have the opportunity to be able to go out and watch an actual Raiders game in Las Vegas, to be able to hang out with the nation. Maybe not actually watch the game, but go out there for at least the pregame and all that, because we do watch parties every single week. Let's go to week 9 against the Cincinnati Bengals. And right now the Raiders are 4-4. You got Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, will Jamar Chase be there with all the drama that's going on right now at the time that I'm recording this video? That one's still a little bit TBD. But at Cincinnati, I'm going to go with Cincinnati to win this one. The Bengals 31-28, which then puts the Raiders at 4-5 going into the bye week. I've said this 100 times. The Raiders have to be 4-5. They cannot be any worse than that. I do think if the Raiders were 3-6 going into the bye, that you would consider potentially trading Devontae Adams. If you were 4-5 and the way that this schedule kind of rounds out, I don't think that AP and I don't think that Tom Telesco do anything wild there. But like the losses that we have, again, there's 5 losses down there below. Against a great Bengals team, a great Chiefs team, a great Ravens team. Those are 3 really tough football games. And I also know the Raiders, they're going to win a game that they shouldn't win, but they're also probably going to lose a game or 2 that they should win. Let's go to week 11 on the road against Miami. If this was a home game, I'd pick the Raiders to win. But the Dolphins, you got to give them credit, are a much better football team at home. And because of that, I'm going to go with the Dolphins here to win this one. Like, I'm telling you right now, I'm making this record prediction, and I'm panicking. Because I know if the Raiders, if they're 4-6 on the season, I'm starting to get really, really nervous of where this season is about to go. But I got to stay true to y'all. I got the Dolphins winning this game. Let's go to week 12 against the Broncos. I don't even know why I'm asking or want you guys to think that you don't know where I'm going to go. I promise you this, until this team proves that they can take care of business up against the Las Vegas Raiders, I'm picking the Raiders to win every single time. And every single Raider fan should do the exact same. Give me the dub, 28-15, up against Blow Knicks in a blowout performance, 28-15 for the Raiders. And then, maybe the game that I'm the most excited for this season, that's not the game that's about to be coming up here. Black Friday, Raiders on the road against Kansas City. And I'm going to get some chuckles probably from the Chat Sports studios out there. But you know what? Since I've been doing this show, when the Raiders have gone to Arrowhead, they have played much, much better. And I think that this is going to be one of those games where they're going to be the tougher football team, and they're going to get a dub. Give me the Raiders 21-20 against the Chiefs. If the Raiders can beat Kansas City and Aidan O'Connell does complete a pass for 3 quarters, why is it impossible? We can take care of business against the Chiefs. And sometimes it doesn't come down to anything besides the tougher football team. And the Raiders are going to be the tougher football team, especially on Black Friday. Before I get into the final games here, we're sitting at 6-6. Will the Raiders make the playoffs? You guys can let me know down below. But we have an awesome event going down this weekend. Jeremy Chugs and I, we're going to be out in North Carolina, and I want some people to sign up for the Week 1 Tee-Off event. Chatsports.com/Topgolf is the link. And if you don't know, if you wanted to go to Topgolf for 1 hour, it would cost you $96. Or you can buy a raffle ticket for $20, and that raffle ticket gives you the opportunity to hang out with Jeremy Chugs and I, a bunch of other Raiders people as well, for up to 3 hours. And on top of that, you get free appetizers. So, like, you can get your own food. You can get your own drinks. We're going to have deals. Also, they're going to have really sick raffle prizes. So if anybody is planning on, even if you're not a golfer, I don't like golf, but I like hanging out with Raider fans. I like being able to go have a drink or two, and I'm going to hit the shit out of some golf balls. If you want to hang out with Jeremy and I this Saturday night, September 7th, chatsports.com/Topgolf. Get one raffle ticket for $20, and it gives you the opportunity to hang out with us for 3 hours. Realistically, it's probably like a $450 value that you're going to be able to get for 20, or you can get 10 tickets for 100. I want some more people to sign up because it's going to be a hell of an event. Let's go to week 14 now against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And on the road, Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, that matchup does make me a little bit nervous. And I think in general, the Bucs are going to be one of those teams that a lot of people sleep on, and I could just see, and the reason why, again, you're going to win a game that maybe you shouldn't win. You're going to lose a game that maybe you shouldn't lose. And this is that game where I have the Raiders losing 28-20 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If you're coming off a high, beating Kansas City on Black Friday, sometimes you get humbled a little bit. And unfortunately, I think this is a game that we're going to get humbled. Let's now go to Monday Night Football. And this is a game that I think could look very different. If Kirk Cousins is the QB, what if Michael Penix Jr. is the quarterback? Because I actually don't think that that's an impossible thing to think about. And they got a lot of talent on both sides of the football. You got to give Atlanta credit. They've done a lot of in their power to really revamp both sides of that football. And because of that, I want to say that the Raiders are going to get revenge, because I can remember one of the worst games I ever saw was it 2-3 years ago? The Raiders went into Atlanta and they lost like 42-6. It made me literally sick to my stomach watching that game. But it's a tough game. I'm going to go with the Falcons to win this one, 30-21 in Vegas. And at this point, you're sitting there at 6-8. And Chugs and I were having a conversation before the show started, and he goes, if they're 6-8 right now, do you want them to win and try to make the playoffs at 6-8, or would you rather them lose and try to get a better quarterback? I will say a lot of the quarterbacks that we saw in the first week of college football were very impressive, but Antonio Pierce is not the coach. This is not a team. This is not a situation where we can go in and say Antonio Pierce is guaranteed to come back. And the moment that you start tanking, you better not pay players millions of dollars, because there's so many other people in this world that work extremely hard and don't get paid that money. You got to go out there. You got to do your job. You got to go win a football game. So let's go to week 16 now against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Trevor Lawrence, this has been a team that's done pretty well in the first half of the season and then has kind of fallen off as it goes down and down and down. For the Jaguars, I have the Raiders winning this game. Gardner Minshew going up against an old division rival. Maybe he wants a little bit of a revenge game. I know Minshew in that final game last season didn't quite get the numbers that he was looking for. This is going to be a good game, though, I think, for the Raiders. Again, another good test against a potential AFC wildcard team. Let's go to week 17. The game that I don't care if you bleed silver and black. I don't care whatever, right? If you got a pulse and you're a Raider fan, this game's on your calendar. And it's on your calendar because of Derek Carr. And if the Raiders win, when the Raiders win, Derek Carr is going to be the very first quarterback in NFL history to lose to all 32 NFL teams. And the Raiders are going to get this dub 20-16, which puts us right now at an 8-8 record. This is a game right after Christmas, right before the New Year's, right before that ball drops. And I just really do believe that this is just going to be a game that's going to be an ugly football game, a lot of defense. Derek's going to be feeling his way. He's going to be an emotional guy. And Raiders are going to get a win. Hopefully somebody goes past midfield, though. Let's go to week 18 now, the final game against the Chargers. And I want to sit up here and say that I think that the Raiders have an opportunity to make the playoffs at 9-8. I would really like to be able to say that, but just the AFC in general is so stacked, and I think both teams are probably going to be right around this exact same area of, I don't think the Chargers are as bad as the Broncos, but I also don't think the Chargers are as good as what a lot of people say that they are. They think they're just picking Herbert and just picking Jim Harbaugh. I could see the Chargers being a team right now that's probably somewhere around 8-7 wins. Raiders are going to be somewhere in that picture as well. But this team, to me, I want to see another timeout. I want to see us go to the playoffs. That's really ultimately what I want here. So be real with me. Scale it from 1 to 100% chance you give the Raiders to make the playoffs. 1% chance. You don't think it's going to happen. 100, Mitch, it is a no-doubter 100% chance that the Raiders go to the playoffs. For me personally, I'm going to put this number at about 35% chance that the Raiders make the playoffs. And again, it's not because I don't think that the Raiders are a good football team. I do. I think the Raiders are actually one of the more underrated teams in the NFL because people only look at quarterback. They don't look at the entire team from top to bottom, and the Raiders are a pretty damn talented team, I think, on both sides of the football when you don't look at QB. But even with that being said, and I want somebody to go through and I want them to do their own record prediction, not only for the Raiders, but for all those AFC teams, because there is a lot of talent on the AFC. And I think even if you get to 10 wins, that doesn't put you at a 100% chance to make the playoffs. The only way you're going to have a legit chance to make the AFC wild card, 11 wins, you're in. 10 wins, that's still a chance that you don't make it. And as much as I believe in this football team, and as much as I want Gardner Minshew, Antonio Pierce to prove me wrong, I hope that every single person that's watching this show right now remembers me saying that the Raiders are going to go 9-8, that there's a 35% chance that they make the playoffs, and you send me this video and go, Mitch, you're wrong. Mitch, you're wrong. Bring it. I hope I am wrong. And if I am wrong, bring this video. Let's get it going. Put it on Old Takes Exposed. There is nothing that would make me happier than me being wrong about the Raiders missing the playoffs.